So now let's look at just using the open function for being able to interact with files in Python. Now this is not the recommended way to interact with files generally. Generally you should use with open and basically use that particular code block, because when you do with open it will automatically close the file for you. Now there are some times with different types of Python code there is a reason to keep the file open longer, and so there might be a reason for you to use just the open function, but just do be careful, because if you do not close your file, all kinds of badness will ensue. So this looks a lot like what we were dealing with before with the with open section that we talked about. So when we open a file, there are three modes: W for overwrite, A for append, or R for read. Those are the three basic modes. There are more modes out there, but that's what we're going to be dealing with today. And basically what we're going to be looking at with our code is we're going to use the open function. We're going to assign the value to a file variable. We're then going to use either write or read line functions with that file variable, and then we need to close the file. So here's our example using the open function. So we're going to have a variable name here. So our variable name is file. This could be file1, file2, class, students, whatever else. It's whatever variable name you want it to be. So file equals open. Then we are going to have the text file that we're going to be opening. Now this needs to be in the working directory, or it needs to be the path in order to get to wherever it is. So I have VS Code open and I have my workspace open. So this is on the desktop. So what's going to happen here is it's going to write the file testy.txt to my desktop. We have the mode of W for overwrite. If the file isn't there, it'll be created. If it is, it will overwrite the file. Then we're simply going to do file.write function, and then whatever we want to write into this file. So we're going to write in hello world. The final thing here, that is the most important thing, is make sure you use the close function. If you do not close this, bad things can happen. So file.close, that will close the file, and it signifies that you no longer need to interact with the file. If we click on the run to actually run this script. Basically we can see that testy.txt gets created, and we have hello world there. So we have written into this file, and most importantly, once we've written into it, we have closed it. So when we're writing to the file, we can append as well as overwrite. So you can see how this works. If we change the mode from W to A, basically we can then start appending to the testy.txt file. So currently it just says hello world, and then if we run this a few times, we can see when we go to testy.txt, we have a whole bunch more hello worlds there because we have been appending to it. And so that's all you have to do in order to append to a file. So now to read from a file using the open function, it looks like a lot of what we've been doing before. So we have file equals open, testy.txt, so that file that we've been playing with, and we're going to open with a mode of R for read only. We're then going to have text, so we're going to need another variable name, and then we're going to assign the value of whatever comes in from testy.txt to that variable name. The file is going to be an object, and so we need to actually get the text out of it. So we can either use the read method, and so the read method turns that object into simply a string. So all the text comes in as a string. If it's one line of text, you get a one-line string. If it's an entire book, you get a whole book as one string. The important thing to understand is that all comes in as a single string. Or you could do read lines, and the read lines method turns every line in that text into a value within an index and a list, as I've shown you before. So text is going to equal file.read, and then the most important thing here is file.close. Make sure to close your file. Then all we're going to do here is we're simply going to print out the text value that's come in to take a look at that. And we can see, again, since we've been playing with that testy file, we got a lot of hello worlds there. And so that is how to deal with the open function and being able to close it for when you're reading files. So there's the open function for you. Again, do be careful with this. If you don't close the file, bad things will ensue. You do also need permissions to be able to access the files or the folders you're trying to read or write to. So again, this is security permissions. Do you have the read or write privileges to be able to do that in your system or into the folder that you're trying to interact with? If you do not have those permissions, no matter how good your Python code is, it will fail simply because you do not have the permission to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then make sure to close your file or badness. All kinds of badness will happen. That's why most of the time you're going to want to use the with open code block function for being able to interact with files.